Hello. I don't generally do unboxing videos because I find that a bit silly and prefer to just review the thing instead. But the ELLO is a bit special. I've waited for this for a while as it's a crowdfunded project. The box is a little bit battered, but that's what I expect from mail. Usually it seems to do a good job of not allowing the thing inside to break, at least. And it's got nice printing, as I was expecting from the pictures. There is a bit of padding here, although I think it would probably not have been necessary because the box protected it okay enough. Perhaps some padding outside would have been okay, but those usually don't protect boxes very well anyway. Okay, so this is the system. It is the ELLO2M squared, initially known as the hacker version, which, unlike the non-squared version, the geek version originally, this is a PIC 32 with half a megabyte of RAM instead of just 128 kilobytes. And that's not just more memory, but by virtue of also having an MMU, it should allow running operating systems of a more complex nature than the basic that this comes with, which is MMBasic. I am not a fan of that basic because it's not really open source. I mean, the source is available, but you cannot modify it without approval for purposes that aren't just personal. And in fact, the maker of this ELLO had that problem with the author, but eventually found a solution, a compromise of some sort. But personally anyway, I'd like to just have something that's open source to run on this in any case. This is a touchscreen, and sometimes it is problematic. The battery seems to have at least a little bit of charge, because if you noticed, this LED blinked for a short while. Yeah, did it again. And if I remember correctly, assuming it has enough battery to turn on, it's Control and Escape to turn on. Pressing it for a while, perhaps Shift and Escape. I don't really remember at this moment. Let's try with Shift. Nope. Let's try again with Control. The keyboard also has had some trouble in the production runs, while the creator of this was happy with his prototypes. When it came out of the factory, it wasn't as ideal as it was initially, so now it is a little flimsy. Here's 2 SD card slot, micro SD of course. Here's the USB port, which I will use for charging, but also can be used as, if nothing else, a serial port. And these are the connectors that let you create circuits by using this breadboard, which is actually, well, for sockets. These there is no contacts in this. The contacts are all in this port described here, and you can just take jumper wires from here to here. Anyway, I'd better manage to turn it on. If I had a faulty screen, which unfortunately sometimes happens, I would be seeing this LED turn on, fixed, not just blinking, while the screen would still not turn on. But the fact I'm not seeing turn on at all and just stays blinking means it's not recognizing my attempt to turn it on in the first place. I think escape is the right key because it has a RST reset written on it, but either well, just give me a second and I'll look up what the actual way to turn it on was supposed to be. I am forgetful. It is an unboxing video after all, so I was not prepared for what I would see, although I was meant to. Press and hold Control and on. So did I miss the on? Because that, oh yeah, it's the key, the cursor up key. Yep, there it is. This is looks like a very non-broken screen, because there are some screens that are just broken and some that are not completely broken but have almost unusable contrast. Unfortunately, there were these problems, but this has a fine contrast. It's very visible in all angles, so thank you, Konstantin. Let's try typing, although perhaps let me move the camera a little again. Otherwise it's a bit in my way. Well, there is no click because probably this has a bit of conductive foam below the keys, which was a later modification of the initial design, because the initial design worked in the prototypes but not very well in the production models, so a layer of conductive material was added in order to make better connectivity, and the keys do in fact produce results consistently as far as I can see, and it's not hard to press them, well, except this L, but that was probably my fault. Still my fault. Of course, it's not like just like using a full size and full travel computer keyboard, far from it, but I've seen worse. I use many PDAs handhelds from the recent or much less recent past, so this is a keyboard that can be used, and well, I definitely have preferred a click in the keys, but not at the cost of the keys not working in the first place. So this is okay, the keyboard works. I can test all the keys, which is probably a nice idea. See, I don't really have to make a whole lot of pressure. It's more like tapping the keys, not quite like a touch screen. I mean, I still have to make a little bit of pressure, but well, this is, however, touchscreen. Yep, see, I cannot really demonstrate it without writing a program because there is no built-in interface, but well, you see it recognized my touch in the first place. However, there is a calibration thing, which is the one it's telling me to use, so this will perhaps show something. Yep, this is probably better used with a stylus, but this is resistive, so you don't need a capacitive stylus to use it. Warning, inaccurate calibration. Well, let's try again. Perhaps it's because I ignored a little the instruction to press and hold although it might have also been the fact I didn't use a stylus, so yep, no errors. So this time it's better. So hold as it tells you to, don't just tap. So at first glance this seems like a system with no particular trouble. There are supposed to be disk drives, which are of course just the SD cards and an internal one, but I'm not sure. Of course, list is to list the program. I am not really sure what the command to see the contents is. Files could be standard. Yeah, it's probably files, but of course it's empty to list the programs. It's interesting to see what is available here, although the camera might not be focusing it properly, because the PIC32 being a microcontroller, even though it's not a tiny microcontroller of the, I don't know, like a Z80 CPU, this MIPS fairly powerful, but still has a whole lot of analog digital inputs and outputs, and a lot of things you can play with. For instance, it has a built-in ability to produce IRDA signals for infrared ones. There is also, somewhere here not visible, just the components inside, a radio frequency interface, which is not standard but can be used to communicate with other ELLOs in a classroom, for instance, as this is meant to be an educational computer. That's not part of the PIC actually, that's a separate module, but the PIC itself, while it does not have a whole lot of built-in communication modules, I mean, it wouldn't come with like a radio interface, but it would come with pin outs to just connect, for example, not a radio but an infrared LED, and it will just output the correct things for IRDA there. So well, this will be it for now. I will make a less unboxing and more review next time after I've played with it a little, which seems like it will be easy as I see no major or even minor faults with this unit.